Apparently, people don't see how deep the media manipulation goes. Yes, legacy media is biased. That's not news. What is news is how carefully and strategically they craft the emotional frame. Every detail designed to make you feel something before you can reason through it. But don't just take my word for it. Let me show you. You've heard of TDS, right? The question is, how on earth did we get here? On October 11th, just a few days ago, I came across this Washington Post article. I read it once, and it was screaming with subtle manipulation. So I thought, I have to jump on here and show it to you guys. This kind of coverage is really just one example where TDS was born. The slow emotional conditioning that turns political disagreement into something visceral, almost moral. This Washington Post article is a perfect window into how that cycle starts and how it keeps feeding itself. And by the way, if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you a bonus clip that's going to make this whole narrative crack wide open and maybe even make you laugh a little. Okay, first we'll just dive right in. Check out this headline. For Trump, media manipulation is his show of force. So show of force is a very emotionally charged phrase, as well as media manipulation. So with this headline, she's quite literally saying that Trump is manipulating the media and doing it forcefully. Okay, then in the sub headline, she says, the president has long attacked the media as fake news. And you notice the quotations, it kind of makes me think of like the air quotes, like fake news. But the White House has created a new crop of journalists to advance its policy priorities. Now, this is really important. The very first image, which is kind of like the hero image, the main image, with that headline and with that image, it sort of sets the tone of the rest of the article and subtly tells you the lens that you're going to see the article through. So I don't know about you, but my first time seeing this image, I thought about one thing. And to me, it kind of looked like almost like a cult leader. And it's very dehumanizing as well, because you don't see him, you don't see his face, you don't see his humanity at all. You just see him you see him from behind, and then you see everyone sort of reaching out to him and trying to kind of get his attention. And his finger pointing, the symbolism in the imagery here is really powerful. So keep that hero image in your mind. Remember that lens that she set up right at the beginning. Right in this introduction, President Donald Trump has long railed against the quote unquote fake news as a enemy of the people. But this week, the president showed how far he has come in finding a new use for the media as props. So this is another interesting word to use, props. In the film industry and in filmmaking in general, props are just objects, right? They're just things that the character or the protagonist or the main or secondary characters in a film or a TV show use and hold and pick up, that they advance the story, but really they're just, I wouldn't say they're insignificant, but they're just things that the character uses. Now, friendly influencers were summoned to the White House on Wednesday afternoon, as they have been throughout Trump's second term, to bolster his agenda and attack his targets of the moment. Okay, another powerful word, attack his targets. Okay, keep all of these emotionally charged words and phrases in your mind, because when you pick them out, aside from the rest of the article, and you just kind of let them pile up in your mind, you start to see the emotional tone and framing that the writer is creating. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. And again, I want you to keep in your mind the emotionally charged words and phrases. That televised interplay, made possible by the splintered media environment and Trump's knack for exploiting public mistrust, has allowed Trump and his aides to manipulate public perceptions of the news in ways that their predecessors would not have attempted or imagined. Okay, so very clearly she's saying that Trump is a disruptor, which we know, and that because the public already has a lot of mistrust in the media, that he's exploiting that mistrust. The president invited influencers friendly to his hardline immigration policy to an event targeting Antifa, a far-left, decentralized global movement whose proponents oppose fascism, sometimes militantly. Okay, the conservative influencers were part of the event presented as putatively independent sources. Here's what putatively means. Putatively means supposedly or claimed to be. So essentially what using this word does is cast a shadow of doubt about whether or not these journalists are truly independent or not. So this is how subtle media bias works. Instead of outright calling these influencers fake, they use a word like putatively. And what it's meant to do is plant a feeling of distrust. So it goes on to say presented as putatively independent sources to tell their own stories and validate Trump's case that Antifa is a domestic terror organization whose associates should be prosecuted. So this is interesting because there's even some subtext here that this writer is suggesting that Antifa is not real, or at least not at the level that Trump is placing them, labeling them a terrorist organization. Okay, let's jump down a little bit. Look at this. Even before he ran for office, Trump saw journalists as creatures of his own device. He goes on to say, a good journalist is anyone who is helping to advance Trump's agenda or agrees with his perceptions and prejudices. What this article reveals isn't just Trump's latest move. It's the press's response to a threat they've faced since 2016. You can feel it in the structure, the tone, the imagery. The Post isn't just reporting on Trump. It's reasserting its role as the gatekeeper. And it all works to reinforce the idea that Trump is not just controversial, he's dangerous. Every loaded phrase, every emotional cue, every framing choice is a subtle reminder. He's a madman on a warpath. But us? We're the adults in the room. But here's what gets lost in political debates. This isn't really a battle between Trump and the press. It's a battle for narrative control, because the assumption is if they control the narrative, they control your opinion. And as we've seen, they're not entirely wrong. But let me leave you with this bonus clip that I promised. Remember the independent journalists that the article also called conservative influencers? Well, here's one of them talking to the mainstream press and Trump. Check it out.
More attractive after I got rid of my Trump Derangement Syndrome. Yes. You know, I'm a reporter in Seattle, and frankly, I could not care any less what any of you have to say about this meeting. Could not care any less. We're not here for you. I'm not here to convince any of you that Antifa is a real thing, because if you have not come to that conclusion by now, you are never going to come to that conclusion because you don't want to see it. And you're going to go and you're going to say it's a bunch of right-wing conservative influencers who are here spinning a tale. I was one of you. I was a mainstream reporter in Seattle for 10 years. I was a TV reporter on the streets doing my job, and I was still assaulted by Antifa. So it's not about being conservative. It's about people who go there and show what they're doing. And when I saw, after all those years, that the media wouldn't be honest about what was happening, that Democratic politicians wouldn't be honest about what was happening, I thought, well, gosh, if they're not being honest about that, maybe they're not being honest about President Trump either. And it opened my mind to just looking at things for what they were. And now I find you quite funny, actually.
Whoa, that was so bold and so straightforward. I mean, you got to appreciate it. So listen, the next time you see a news story, ask yourself, whose version of reality am I being shown? Who's the villain? Who's the protagonist? Whose side of the story am I not hearing? And who benefits if I believe this? Until next time, stay curious and stay grounded. Thanks for watching. If you liked that video, check out this video next. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I drop a new video every week.